Well, good morning, friends. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo, as well as Joe Bear in the house. And as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that it's not working, so let's get open for business. And let's wake up the football gods today on this finally freaking Friday. Thank you all for tuning in. There's so many places that you could be, but you're right here, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Even those ones out there that hate me, I really love you guys as well. So today is the beginning of Memorial Weekend. If you're going out of town, by all means, be safe. There are some bad storms that are coming through on the East Coast. I'm sure there's going to be some flight delays and things like that. You know, just take your time wherever you're going. I know it's going to be frustrating buying gas because the price of gas is just through the roof. But here's the good thing. You know, after Memorial Weekend, it'll start going down. You know, they want to just gouge the hell out of you because they know you want to go on vacation after the long winter and everything. But it is what it is. We will find a way. Tonight, make sure you tune in, 9 o'clock Eastern. My son, Michael Anthony Fitness Reaction Gig Economy, is going to be part of a hot wing challenge as we go through trying to raise more money for our buddy Stuart Morrison, who is battling cancer, as we get ready to go down in only 2 weeks from now. We are headed to Dallas to help our brother Stuart Morrison fix up his house. So we have the first week of OTAs, the 2 days of practice in hand. You know, every day I end up looking, you know, at the Bleacher Report and ESPN, and it's all doom and gloom for the Cowboys. Oh, the Cowboys, they had the 9th worst offseason of the NFL. If you were to listen to all of the talking heads out there, you would think that Dak Prescott is like the 45th quarterback in the NFL. You would think Zeke Elliott was Tony Dorsett at this point because he's, you know, he's old and decrepit and falling apart. You would think that, you know, we literally have, let me see, that's the coach, trying to think of Rich Kotite. You would have think that we'd have Rich Kotite as a head coach for the Dallas Cowboys. You would think that literally we have everything, the worst of the worst. But you know what? I'm not going to be negative Nelly. I know everybody, we wish that Catboy was out there actually getting us some more players and things. But you know, we have some guys on our roster that could be great players. And see, I believe this year, for the first time ever, not ever, first time in a long time, that we actually have a defensive line. I have been screaming, I've been begging, I've been pleading, I've been desiring defensive line. You know, it seems like for the Cowboys, defensive line was one of those things that we kind of had to do because we had to do. And they never really looked at getting defensive linemen that were truly defensive linemen. You know, the Cowboys are always, you know, the Inspector Gadgets, okay? You know, we'll get a lightweight defensive end and he can play tackle. You'll get a tweener, a Tyrone Crawford. Don't get me wrong. I know I use Tyrone Crawford as an example a lot, and I'm not trying to belittle what Tyrone Crawford was. But Tyrone Crawford was not quite a defensive end and not quite a tackle. He did both of them pretty well when he was healthy, but he wasn't that guy that says, oh, okay, that's a defensive tackle. His body was too lean to be that true run stopper. Now the Cowboys, in the mind of Dan Quinn, who likes fast and physical players. And if you look back at Seattle's defense, the Legion of Boom, he didn't exactly have the tip-top defensive ends and edge rushers and tackles. What he had was a rotation of a lot of guys that were really good. When you looked at it, you had Michael Bennett and you had Cliff Averill in that Super Bowl year as the two leading sackers on that defense, I think 7 and 8.5. And your interior defensive linemen were good ones, not super outstanding, but they were physical. And that's what your Cowboys are beginning to get right now. And we're going to have there's actually some guys that need to worry. And what I'm going to be doing over the next couple of days is I'm actually going to start breaking down these guys. And I'll start out with Neville Gallimore. I'll do that one later on today as I have time. I've got actually a Zoom call. I'm truly blessed. I have my Inventables on my other channel, and my woodworking channel, my day job. And I've spent a lot of money buying this Inventables machine. Well, the CEO of Inventables actually saw some of my videos, and he's actually going to do a Zoom call to teach me some more things about the machine. So I've got that Zoom call later on today, which will be fantastic to do. So that's at 1 o'clock, so I'll be doing that. But I'm going to break down and do a little bit of film study on some of the defensive linemen that we have. And I can't wait to go ahead and get to Neville Gallimore because I think he's going to be a breakout candidate. So as we start looking at the roster on defensive linemen, we have actually an embarrassment of riches from where we've been in the past. We have, and ones that I think will definitely be here that we don't have to worry about their spots. One, Neville Gallimore, the guy that I love, the Canadian bulldozer. I think he is going to be outstanding and headed for a breakout season. The second one, I think, could actually have a really good season as well, who you got flashes last year as a rookie was Osi Ndigazua. Osi, former wrestler, he's got the hands to be able to make the moves. He's got the speed, and I'm hoping that he puts on a little bit more meat, gets that man body. You know, when the rookies come in, you can kind of see the baby fat on them and stuff, but then after being in Texas, getting all that beef and getting the workout and things, you start seeing him put on that muscle, you know, just like we've seen with CeeDee Lamb this year, growing a half an inch and putting on 10 pounds. So if he does that, keeps that speed, I think he's going to be fantastic. So those two guys we know are probably going to be our starting two. After that, we actually have some battles for positions because we have Carlos Watkins, who we signed as a free agent last year. And Carlos Watkins played pretty good, played well enough that you looked and said, we should bring him back, which is not typical for usually the bargain basement guys that we end up signing. He actually played really, really well. Now, one guy I was kind of hoping that they were going to be able to bring back, but he signed with the Ravens, which goes to show you the Ravens' no defensive lineman was Brett Urban. But unfortunately, with the injury, his season was cut short last year. But Carlos Watkins, and then we have Tristan Hill. Now, you know the Cowboys' philosophy on second-round picks are, we'll take a chance on a guy in the second round because we feel like we're playing with house money. You know, maybe they have a questionable pass, or maybe they have some off-the-field issues, or maybe even some on-the-field issues. And they took that chance with Tristan Hill, who did not get along with his coaches at Florida. Tristan Hill, his rookie year was not real good, and you could see some of the problems he had in college there. His second year, he started getting it together, but then had the knee injury. And then last year, of course, coming in off of being injured, he actually started having a few flashes. I actually think that he may be the one to worry about holding on to his position. Then we have Quentin Bohannon. You know, I was high on getting Quentin last year, 6th-round draft pick, a big, big body. My problem with Quentin Bohannon is he kept being too high. You know, you can't play the chess games when you are defensive tackle. You've got to be the low man to use that power and strength. He may be another one that you're looking at and saying, is he going to make it? John Ridgeway is also in there. John Ridgeway, the rookie. John Ridgeway, he's got thighs like, Robert Newhouse on steroids. Literally tree trunks. If he can get his upper body to match that, you know, when he gets rid of his baby fat and gets into that man body, then we're really talking about a guy. I think John Ridgeway will be the one to make it. So between Quentin Bohannon and Tristan Hill, I think that one of those two guys aren't going to make the roster, and I think it's probably not going to be Tristan Hill. So that's where we actually have a good rotation of interior guys. We got guys that are big, athletic, fast, and ready to rock and roll. So I'm excited about that for the first time, because in the past it's kind of like the Cowboys is kind of like, well, I guess we got to get a defensive lineman, and we just throw anybody in there. And that has been the problem for the Cowboys, is we just throw anybody in there and we don't stop the run. And if you go back, and I've been saying it forever, The two reasons why we lost to San Francisco: we couldn't run the football and we couldn't stop the run. And that is where we must change around. So look for those videos. Like I said, you know, I always go back to Tristan Hill. Excuse me, not Tristan Hill. To Quentin Bohannon. Boy, I'm just naming everybody off of here. Neville Gallimore, thinking about how he literally took a Pro Bowl center, and Mike Pouncey, and trucked his ass on the way to sacking Ben Roethlisberger. And that was the power that he had, and we're going to use him as our first breakdown. So let's go to a clip from Total Access. I actually like listening to this because this has got my quarterback, Dak Prescott, talking about the changes in the locker room. Oh, and I don't know why, but I'm having a hard time today. Boom.
Dak Prescott out there getting warmed up. He lost one of his receivers this offseason. You might remember Amari Cooper departing. But hey, no worries. A little shuffling around, not just of the roster, but of the lockers as well.
My two other locker mates left, so I was a little lonely and decided, you know,
Oh, he was
he's
lonely.
the guy. So I just wanted, I mean, obviously just being young, knowing that, I mean, hopefully he's my receiver till I'm done playing. So just being able to bring him closer, more conversations, just he's right there, accessible to talk and just communicate.
Are you ready to take over for Amari?
Oh, I've been ready.
You've been ready.
Been ready. That's just me and my competitiveness. That's in my nature. It's kind of how I grew up playing football. I'm always ready for, you know.
Always ready.
As we take a look at that NFC East, yes, the Cowboys did win that division last year in 2021. But if you go all the way back, you'll notice something. No back-to-back winners going back as far as 2005. The Eagles were the last team to do that.
Hold on. You know what's so funny to me? I have to pause this for a second. What's so funny to me is I've been saying this thing for like the last 8 years about nobody repeating and everything else. You know, last year when Washington won the division, that's not what they were saying. They were talking about how Washington, it's going to be back-to-back. Washington, the best team in the NFC. They might be, remember Mike Greenberg? They might be the best team in the NFC with that defense. And, of course, Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's less tragic. You know, they didn't put this on here and say, you know, Washington, you're going to have a hard time repeating. But go ahead. But go on.
For the 2004 season, we welcome in our Jane Slater. Find us here in the studio.
What's up, Jane?
Close to us, Jane. Please come visit us soon. But Jane was out at OTAs today. Jane, we heard Dak talk about the camaraderie. It sounds like leadership to me when you hear him and CeeDee Lamb trying to get as close together, literally, as possible.
Well, there's a lot of names that are missing from this roster on the offensive side of the ball when you consider the fact that you don't have somebody like Amari Cooper there this year. And so CeeDee Lamb does have big shoes to fill. And also Michael Gallup doesn't look like he's going to be available the first couple of weeks as he's coming back from his injury last season.
12 personnel.
When we were at OTAs today, we saw the wide receiver, the rookie third-rounder Jalen Tolbert in a walking boot. Or he was rather off to the side working on the rehab course, but it sounds like he'll be okay. And then it was James Washington, who they acquired in free agency this season, who was dealing with the walking boot situation. So who do they have out there? Simi Fioco and Noah Brown. But it sounds like they're just trying to get this group together, gelled as a group. But Dak Prescott in his 7th season says it certainly hasn't felt like it. It's flown by. In fact, the other day he said he was talking to Zeke about it being his 6th year, and Zeke reminded him, you're heading into the 7th season. He said maybe that's because he's blocked out that year that he had to sit out because of the injury.
I'd block that out too.
He did say that he likes the makeup of this locker room. In fact, I thought one of the more interesting things that he said is we had talked leading up to the draft that Jalen Tolbert, the wide receiver there, he had called ahead of it. And I asked him why that was. Why Jalen Tolbert, the fact that this guy actually fell to them in the draft. And he said that the Cowboys in the front office actually gave him a list of 8 to 9 names. And he couldn't name all of them. But he said they wanted to know what he thought of some of the personalities of the players. And he wanted to know how they handled adversity. And I said, what did you think about that? Have you done that before? And James, maybe you can talk about this. I've never heard of Mike McCarthy or the coaching staff having a quarterback reach out to prospects.
That's interesting.
But he said it meant a lot. Whether they actually took his input or not, it just made him feel like he was part of the process. And you've got to think that some of that is going to carry over onto the football field, guys.
She set you up perfectly.
Sounds like Coach Mike is listening because that's all Aaron Rodgers was asking for. Sounds like he took it over there to Dallas and he said, let me
interesting
not let this
take.
happen again. But I absolutely love it. This is the leader of your ball club. He's the quarterback. You want to have his input. Something like Aaron Rodgers said, if it affects my job, can I have a little input?
There you go.
Dak Prescott.
If I got to cook the meal, let me buy the groceries.
How they can play on the football field. So I think that's big time. And we all know Dak is a great leader. He is going to be a leader on this ball club for a long time. And I love him moving CeeDee Lamb closer to him. The reason why, hey, we need to talk through. You know, you about to get double teamed, right? So we need to see how you're going to figure out how you're going to get open on that. Gallup's not going to be back. Amari Cooper's gone. All the attention is on you. Hopefully we can run the football extremely well, but all the attention is on you. But whenever you can have that chemistry off the field as well with your wide receiver, it's only going to translate to success on the field. So I'm excited to see these two dudes get at it.
All right, so you're talking about the wide.
All right, so that's what if you want to watch the whole clip on that, it's actually really good about the Cowboys and stuff. It's one of the few ones that you actually have some things that actually sound positive for the Cowboys and their situation. I find it interesting that Dak had so much input in the draft and the personnel that are going in there. There were rumors, of course, that Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys, and you can see as they pick their players, they're looking for guys with a little bit more edge and a little bit more fight. From Mike McCarthy literally saying that the guys seem to be nervous. You know, when you think of a dog that's ready to fight, and I don't care if it's a little teeny dog, you know, even a little, they get the hair on their back and they have no fear whatsoever. And that's why the Cowboys are looking for those guys with that dog. And when you think about Jalen Tolbert saying that he wants to help change the culture, you can tell that that's a guy with a little bit of an edge. When you look at them bringing in a guy like James Washington, he's a little bit on the edgy side as well. And that's where I look for the Cowboys actually to change their persona. I'm Mark Holmes, and as always, I appreciate you guys being here. Look for my Neville Gallimore Canadian Bulldozer breakdown coming out a little bit later. And if you are one of those people who enjoy woodworking and stuff, I have good news with the price of lumber. And I'm going to be recording, hopefully with the permission of the CEO of Inventables, some tips on doing better carving using the machine. So if the man who's behind the machine is teaching me, I can definitely pass it on to you. So as always, you know how we roll. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report.